There's no pressure, Pete.
The official Malort Historian.
First of all, I just want to say thank you to everybody for coming out here. This event is for all of you guys. You guys are the ones who have basically kept us afloat. And so, are we? It's on. Good. Okay. All right. I'll keep talking, guys. And there we go. You can turn the jukebox off. I can just do it without the microphone. But okay. So yeah.
Just yell.
Just turn the jukebox down.
Attaboy! We'll be quiet.
I used to be a tour guide at Wrigley Field, so I can do it for 100 people. There we go. Okay, my name is Pete Strom, and I'm the Malort Historian. And long story short, I got involved because I wanted to write a little history about Malort, Jefferson's Malort. I'm really interested in Chicago history, Swedish American history, and so I wanted to find something interesting to write about Chicago, and Malort just happened to be it. Looked online originally and tried to find out as much as I could about Malort, and found out that there really wasn't much written about it. So I started looking into it, contacted Pat. She was gracious enough to let me look at all of the old files and stuff that they have. And I think one of the most interesting things that people always ask me is, where is Malort from? Where is it from? What is it? Malort is an old Swedish drink. It's an old Swedish drink. It goes back 200 years, maybe even 300 years in Sweden.
Yes!
Carl Jepsen was an immigrant from Sweden to Chicago in the 1880s. And he came from a small town called Ystad, spelled Y-S-T-A-D. And if you guys go to the Music Box this weekend, or this week, they have a movie playing there called Wallander. If you guys have ever heard the Henning Mankell Mysteries or whatever. Henning Mankell's stories all take place in Ystad. So if you want to see beautiful Ystad, go see that movie. You'll see where Carl Jepsen comes from. And southern Sweden, where he's from, is the hotbed of where this drink came from. If you guys have ever heard of aquavit, aquavit is a sibling of Besk, which is the style of drink that Jepsen's Malort is. Everybody thinks that Malort is the style of drink. Oh, it's a Malort. It's not. The style is a Besk. A Besk is a Swedish word for bitter. So it's a Swedish bitters. There are actually 4 or 5 different brands of Besk in Sweden. When you go on Wikipedia, it says that Malort is in the style of Beskadropar. That's not true. Beskadropar is actually just another brand of Besk. And it's not considered like a traditional Besk. It's actually blended with cinnamon. So Malort is, can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
So Malort is actually kind of a, I like to say fossilized. I don't think Pat likes that term, but by the way, has everybody seen Pat? Pat is our fearless leader. She's the owner of the Carl Jepsen company that produces our lovely drink, Jepsen's Malort. Thank you for being here, Pat. I know everybody's excited to meet you. Jepsen's Malort, I know Pat doesn't like me to say this, but it's basically a fossilized version of a style of drink that was super popular in Sweden. It was the number, if you can believe this, it was the #1 most popular drink in Sweden 100 years ago, 125 years ago. And like I said, it comes from southern Sweden, where aquavit also comes from. It's also from Denmark too. And aquavit is made out of dill and caraway. That's its base. Malort, Besk, is based on wormwood, which grows wild around Sweden. Carl Jepsen is from southern Sweden, and it was very typical for people to make their own liquor. Swedes used to drink one of the most popular because it was medicinal. It has a
Hangover cure.
yes, that is actually why it was made. It has a chemical in it called fujone, but our liquor does not have a lot of fujone in it. Actually, it's very hard to extract the fujone. That's what people think about when they think of absinthe making you go crazy, but that's actually a myth. But it's actually very good. It helps calm your stomach. The reason why they produced it was to help nausea, vomiting, and menstrual cramps. Actually, that was its medicinal value. And actually, the first story that Pat told me when I started talking to her, asking questions, he said, "Oh, the girls at the distillery used to drink it for their menstrual cramps," and it did the.
I do it for her.
So that's actually the reason why it's made. Almost all Swedish liquors were made for medicinal purposes. Have you ever seen absolute pepper, Pepparby, or whatever it is behind the bar? Pepper vodka in Sweden was used to staunch diarrhea. So I mean, a lot of these aquavit had medicinal purposes too. And that brings us up to Sweden, was where Jeppson's Malort came from. Carl Jeppson used to run a cigar shop in what was Pretty Green. He then moved up to here, which is it was where the Swedes lived, which is where Pretty Green eventually was. He then moved up here to Dayton, just north of Wrigleyville, and he ran this cigar shop. He made cigars, and then he decided to start making. From what we can tell, he started to make the traditional recipe that he grew up making in Ystad of Malort. And now every town, every county in southern Sweden has their brand of Malort, of best. And his somehow has survived through the years, and the reason why is because during the 1920s, the Swedes were able to get away with producing their alcohol as medicinal alcohol, which was legal during Prohibition. So he would go door to door and sell his liquor to the Swedish bars around Chicago. Lakeview was the major Swedish center of America at the time. So a lot of these bars used to sell it for him during Prohibition. Probably our oldest customer is Simon's up in Andersonville. During Prohibition, they were the NN Club, the No Name Club. And they most likely sold our liquor, Jeppson's. Now, the interesting part is we don't know very much about Carl Jeppson until a few months ago. Now, Carl Jeppson sold his recipe. We don't know much about Carl Jeppson's tenure with the liquor, but we know after he sold it to a Jewish man named George Brody, who owned it from 1934, which if you guys are good Prohibition historians know that 1934 is when they repealed Prohibition. George bought the recipe from him and added it to a collection of more than almost 60 or 70 different liquors in his liquor company called Red Horse. The company is called Beelzop, but his brand was called Red Horse. Now, a lot of people say that there haven't been any distilleries in Chicago since Prohibition. That's actually not true. There are a couple. And one of the biggest was Beelzop, Red Horse. And their distillery was at 11th and State. And Malort was just one of their many, many liquors. George worked for them, then purchased the company in 1945, right before the war ended. And he was a lawyer by trade, but fell into the liquor company, the liquor industry. He, for some inexplicable reason, we're still not sure why, Pat and I have talked about this a lot. We have no idea why, but his wife was really mad at him for being in the liquor industry, so he sold the entirety of Beelzop and Red Horse, except for Malort, except for Jeppson and Malort. I have no idea why he kept Malort. But in any event, almost a year after he sold the company, the King of Sweden decorated and knighted him for serving Swedish culture. And basically, another interesting aspect of that, the Beelzop company, is the Swedish aspect of Malort goes back 200, 300 years to Sweden. The Beelzop company goes back to the 1850s in Chicago. It's one of the oldest liquor companies in Chicago, and it's the only liquor company left, liquor brand left in Chicago, basically, and it has a very long history. I don't want to keep yabbering on and on here. I want to